All right, this is Dr.Toni G. Alvarado, your host for the Harmonize Your Life podcast. I hope you're ready for another dynamic session. All right, I'm back this week with another powerful guest. I have with me today someone who is near and dear to my heart, and I believe that you're going to be blessed by her testimony, by her journey, and just some of the things that she's going to share with us today. I have with me in the studio today Coach Beverly B. Gibson. All right. Welcome to the Harmonize Your Life podcast, Beverly.
Thank you for having me. I've been so excited ever since you mentioned this to me, and now it's here. So I'm just so excited and grateful that you asked me to join you on your podcast. I enjoy your podcast so much each week as I listen to them. So thank you again.
Thank you. So listen, let me give you a little bit about Beverly. I want to read a little bit of her bio to you, and then I'll share with you what we're going to talk about today. So Beverly is affectionately known as Coach Bev, and she is the owner of Beverly B. Gibson Coaching and Consulting. She is a motivational speaker, certified growth coach, and professional trainer. She is also a bariatric surgery support group facilitator, certified by the Bariatric Support Center Institute, a company that provides education and support services for weight loss surgery patients and the healthcare professionals who serve them. She thrives on loving God and believing in people. The core of her life's work is based on the empowerment and improvement of all people. She believes no one should be judged or limited as a result of past mistakes. Beverly is a licensed and ordained minister at Grace Church International under the leadership of the dynamic Bishop Jonathan Alvarado.
Exactly.
Dr.Toni Alvarado. She currently serves as a ministry leader over the women's ministry, the Women of Grace, and she is a faithful team member of the For Life Marriage Ministry alongside her husband, Arlen Gibson, who is also a licensed and ordained minister. Together, they serve as facilitators for Radical Love Marriage Ministry, hosted by Hopewell Missionary Baptist Church in Norcross, Georgia. Coach Beverly holds a master's degree in business management and is a proud member of Delta Sigma Theta sorority. I don't hold that against her, though. And her today. She and her husband, you see, I got some green, and I gotta have some green around me.
Something.
She and her husband, Arlen, reside in Conyers, Georgia, and they are parents of 3 adult children, Robin, Justin, and Brandy, and one beautiful granddaughter, Avery Marie, who affectionately calls them Honey and Papa. Yeah. Welcome to the show, Honey. Welcome, Honey.
Thank you.
That's what Avery calls her. Avery calls her Honey. And I mean, she calls her Honey like that's her first name.
Exactly. Well, we had to make sure she knew my name. Her mom taught her my name so that she would be able to tell somebody who her mother was if they asked.
Oh my goodness, I love Avery. So Beverly, I want to I'm going to bring I want them to know what we're talking about today. So today I asked you to come on the podcast because I wanted you to share your weight loss surgery journey with us. And I want you to just share just the things that you've done and since your surgery, how you have been successful since your surgery, and the new habits that you had to perform, that you've had to implement into your life as a result of going through weight loss surgery. I've known Beverly for well over 30 years now. And I just want to I'm going to show you a before and after picture of Beverly, because I want you to see to the left is the Beverly that I was first introduced to 30 years ago. That's the Beverly on the left. That's the old Beverly. And you can see the on to my left, there's Beverly on the left, and then on the right there is the Beverly that she is today. So you can see the journey. You can see just the impact of just the weight loss surgery that she's had. And so I want to talk a little bit about that. Beverly, I want you to talk a little bit about that weight loss surgery and how you overcame it and everything, so that we can see, you know, what how did you do this? I mean, how'd you do this? I'm trying to come out of the banner. Let me see how I do this. Let me see how I do. Let me get you out the banner. I want to get you back to, I want to get us back to your, let's see here. I'm trying to get us out of that. So that you are not, so your picture is not still in our way. But as you're talking, I want you to start your conversation with us while your picture is up on the screen, okay? Because you're talking about the weight loss journey, and then while you're doing that, I'm gonna figure out how to get your picture off the screen. So y'all know this is live, right? So this is YouTube. Y'all know we're on YouTube, and you'll be able to follow my podcast on YouTube now, as well as to listen to it on Anchor, on Spotify, on Google, and the like. And so I'm in the studio today working this. So y'all bear with Dr. Toni while she tries to figure out this picture off the screen. But while I'm doing that, Beverly, go on and start telling your story.
Okay. So where do I start? I usually start at the point where, you know, it seems like when you look at the picture on the left, that girl was okay. And actually she wasn't. And she realized that there were some changes that needed to be made. Because when I was 23, 24 years old and had my first child, Robin, in 1980, I was absolutely, I was 128 pounds and I was healthy and I was all those things. And by the time I had my second daughter in 1986, I was up to around 190, 200, and it just ticked up from there. And it wasn't so much about the numbers, because I've learned that I'm not a number on a scale. However, I came to realize that in order for me to live the life that I desire to live fully, I had to make some changes. And of course, I was on the roller coaster of losing 20 pounds, gaining 30, walking, exercising, running, doing nothing, all of the things that we do in this journey that we call weight loss. And so I eventually decided that I needed to become more serious about what I was going to do. And I started doing some research on bariatric surgery. And like most people, it was a fear around it, because at the time that I started thinking about it, it was when it was relatively new. So a lot of people were having different experiences. And so I got to the door of it at one point and turned around and changed my mind. But a few years later, in 2010, I decided that I would go forth and do it with the full support of my husband and my children. And so when I made the decision to do it, one morning I woke up and I was sitting on the side of the bed. And it seems like everything hurt. My knees hurt, my ankles hurt. I was just carrying around a lot of weight that was, if I didn't change something, I may not have had the quality of life. And that's what drove my decision. It was probably 90%, 95% of needing to improve my health. And of course, you know, I'm a girl, so it was 5% vanity in there. And I wanted to be cute and I wanted to do that. But the 95% of my decision was absolutely based on my desire for better health and longer life.
Wow. So 95% of your decision was because you wanted better health and you wanted to live a longer life.
That's correct.
Wow. That's correct. So Beverly, how many years ago has it been since your weight loss surgery?
This year, last month, marked 10 years of my having accomplished a weight loss of 100 pounds. Wow. And I've managed to keep up approximately 10 to 15% of that weight.
Wow. You managed to keep off 10 to 15% of that weight. Because some people, I know that
No,
sometimes.
I'm so sorry. I said that wrong. I managed to keep off 80 to 85% of
Okay.
it. That's
Okay.
true.
All right.
That, I
Okay.
said it backwards. I'm sorry.
Okay. So you managed to keep off 80 to 85%
Yes,
of that weight.
exactly. Yes, 80 to 85%.
You really look like a totally different person.
Yeah, I feel like a totally different person. It absolutely changed my life. And I tell people all the time who are considering it, they ask me, would I do it again? I said, I will get up in the morning and go to the doctor, tell them I want the weight loss surgery and have surgery by noon tomorrow if I had to do it. I have no regrets about having, and I know there are a lot of people have different anxiety and concerns around it, but I had a great experience, and it has just blessed my life. And so I favor it to the point that I give back by offering a support group for people who are making the decision to have weight loss surgery or not.
And that's why I'm glad you brought that up, because I want to know when you said, so you offer a support group now for people who have gone through or are thinking about going through it.
Yes, pre and post. I offer a pre and post support group for people who are considering it and people who have gone through it.
You offer a pre and post support group for people who are considering it and for people who have gone through it. So
Yes.
I'm glad you brought up support. So what kind of support do you need? You know what? Before I go into that, I want to ask you this. So what do you say to people who, that sometimes you hear people say things like, I've lost weight, but, I've not had weight loss surgery. I've not lost 100 pounds. You hear some stigma behind the weight loss surgery. Some people are against it. Some people say, you should lose the weight, by just eating right and changing your diet or exercising. Did you try any of those things before the surgery?
Yes, I mentioned earlier that I tried a lot of those things before the surgery, but what I found out that the reason that I had such a hard time losing weight is because my thyroid, I have an overactive thyroid gland, and it causes me to not be able to lose weight.
You mean you have an
underactive? I'm sorry, underactive thyroid gland.
I have the opposite, and
That's right.
and that's amazing because just a couple weeks ago, my endocrinologist was on the show, and we talked about thyroid health. And one of the things we talked about was, she said that that many Black women deal with thyroid issues. Mine was the overactive thyroid, which made me lose weight really, really fast.
Right.
Yours was the under, so it was hard for you to lose the weight because of your thyroid.
Absolutely, and I learned that later in my journey. But when I had my children, like I said before, I was, average size would have them both of my children, but my weight kept ticking up. And no matter what I did, and I did a lot of things to try to lose weight. And as far as the stigma, yes, it's out there and people have their different opinions about it, but that's why this has to be it's a very personal decision to have weight loss surgery. Because at the end of the day, it only impacts you. Even though you may have a great support system, you have to be confident in the decision that you make to have the weight loss surgery. And your why should be clear. And my why was clear that I wanted to have a better quality of life and a longer life. And in the direction that I was headed, I know that those things were going to be compromised.
Wow. Okay. So in the direction you were headed, you knew. Okay. So talk about you. Okay. So there is a real stigma. So, and you said it has to be a very personal decision. Which you made that decision. And so what kind of support do people need that are considering weight loss surgery? You said you do pre and post support. What kind of support do you need, or do you find that people that are thinking about it or have done it going through it and on the other side of it need?
There's several things. A few of them is that, first of all, you need support because you need to understand the risk. So a formal support group is important when you are making the decision. And most organizations who offer weight loss surgery, they offer formal support groups for people pre-op, because it's very important that you have that professional support that clarifies and answers all of your questions as you make your personal decisions. So that's the first thing and then as you go along, you have to be able to, and we'll talk a little bit later about, how you mentally and process it and all. But as you go along, the support is important because you have so many variables that's going on. A lot of people they're misconceived about it. They think if they have the weight loss surgery, they're going to be 50 pounds lighter in 30 days. Well, no, you're going to have to understand that it's not a magic bullet. And so just walking through that process. And then, of course, the normal support. My husband was a big fan. He really was a great encouragement for me. My children were kind of on the fence, but as I share with them why I was making this decision, they got on board with this. But you're just going to need family support. You're going to need professional support in order to be able to make the right decision and be okay with your decisions. Those are the two things: family support and professional support.
Okay, so you need family support and professional support. Okay, so you talked a second ago. You alluded to the whole mental piece, the mental and emotional support. Can you say a little bit more about that?
With the mental and emotional support, once I had the surgery, before I let me back up. Before I had the surgery, it was a lot of indecisiveness on my part because I was fearful. At the time that I first entertained having weight loss surgery, there were a lot of people. It was new. It was new to a lot of us, especially our culture. And so we were, the stigma of being afraid of getting sick, something going wrong, or even dying. And so it was a lot to consider at that time. So mentally, you just, it was really, for me, I had to pray. I had to pray and I had to be certain that I understood the risk and that I was willing to decide if the risk would outweigh the results. And I made that decision based on those things. Yeah. But you will have those anxieties.
So would you say anxiety is one of those emotions that you feel?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
All right. What other emotions did you experience?
I remember the week that I came home because it's outpatient surgery, and I remember the day that I came home. A couple of days later, I decided that I would try to eat a little teaspoon or something, and it didn't work out so well, and I got so scared, and I felt like I started having just panic attack.
Okay.
And I was in the house by myself. My husband was in the yard, and I was just like, "Oh my God, oh my God!" And before I knew it, I was like having all of these regrets. And I had 10,000 regrets in that 5 minutes that I was waiting for my husband to come in the house. And so regret is real, and sometimes you may feel like you shouldn't have done it because number one, you got to be realistic about the fact that there are some things that could happen to you. And so one of my biggest emotions for that day was regret. But I never had another regret because what I did was I learned how to manage my weight loss surgery. And that's really what I want to share with people is that one of the best ways that I learned to manage it was that I changed my relationship with food.
Oh, say that again. See, I'm telling you, this is so in order. Earlier this month, Tracy Barbie on the podcast talking about how food impacts our mood and all of that. And so you had to change your relationship with food. Talk about that, please.
Well, I always tell people, I said, food can be like food can be like a good man or a bad boyfriend. And because a bad boyfriend will treat you good and feed you and make you all fat and everything, and then run off and leave you. But a good, when you manage your food relationship, a good man takes care of you. He gives you the best, make sure you have the best, and he's there for you if something doesn't work out quite right. And so, for me, you have to decide how you want your relationship with food to be. Because one of the things I want to leave for sure is that in changing your relationship with food, if you would just think of it as a buffet, but you should only take what you're going to consume. When you go to a buffet, you don't need to pile your food up high as if there's no more to where that comes from. But if you learn how to manage your relationship with food and only take what you need.
Only take what you need.
Only take what you need.
Okay.
And that's what the surgery helped me to do, because when I eat now, I'm 10 years out, and you've been with me, you know how I eat. When I eat now,
we have a mutual friend. Our friend Ross says Beverly eats like a toddler.
You're like toddler stuff. That's what she said. But what I learned to do is I learned to treat my food, like I want to be treated, and I don't want people taking more of me than they need.
So Beverly, you dropping some nuggets there. Greatness. So you treat your food like you want to be treated.
Yeah.
You don't want people taking more of you. Say that again.
No, I don't want people taking more of me than what they need. Don't abuse me. And that's what happens with food. We abuse it because it's there. We take more than we need.
And more than we can process.
Right.
That's where just a whole bunch of diseases come in, diabetes, heart disease, all kind of things come into place because we're eating more sugar than our body can process.
That's
we're taking in more calories than we can burn. Yeah.
It's so important. And from an emotional perspective with weight loss surgery, one of the things that I'm a big advocate for is understanding that you have to be very careful not to exchange addictions. Because when you, especially as a woman, as a girl, when you have the weight loss surgery, you start losing the weight. I'm a shopper, so what did I do? I went out and bought clothes for every size that I bumped back down to it. Before I know it, I had all these different sizes because what I did was I couldn't eat because I couldn't consume the amount of food that I used to. So I went shopping. So I simply changed my addiction. Some people change their addiction to alcohol. Some change it to smoking. Some change it to shopping and all kinds of things.
Wow. So it's still addictive behavior.
Yes.
It's just that you change one addiction for another addiction.
And it happens very often when people have weight loss surgery. Because number one, especially if your relationship with food was real toxic, it was like a bad breakup.
Oh, goodness.
Because when you are used to just having food and being able to consume it, because the surgeons won't allow you initially to just consume, it's going to make you sick and you're going to have to slow down and all that. And so people who are accustomed to just eating to be eating, and now you can't get it in, it's like a bad breakup. And so people have all kind of emotional breakdowns as a result of not being able to consume what they wanted to eat and how much of it they wanted to eat. And so it really is that's all mental and it's emotional, all wrapped up together. And so because what you also have to do, you have to learn the difference of the voice in your head and the voice in your body.
Wow. The voice in your head and the voice in your body. Wow. Yeah. This is so amazing.
Before weight loss surgery, the voice in your stomach would be saying, I'm hungry, I'm hungry, I'm hungry. But now it's really your head telling you you're hungry because your stomach, you're not hungry because it's no way that you can be hungry because you can only eat just so much food. And depending upon which surgery you have, the hunger hormone is removed. The surgery that I had, which was the gastric sleeve, that surgery removed a portion of my stomach where the hunger hormone, ghrelin, was housed. And so thusly, I have to listen to my body to know if I need to eat.
Wow. Wow.
Because my head might be telling me.
And so that's so, I mean, and this is so good, whether we've had weight loss surgery or not. This is good because so many of us have a love affair with food.
Yes.
And exactly. We're addicted to food. And I mean, we really do have issues, whether we considered morbidly obese or not. Most of us are obese because we're heavier than we should be. We're carrying more weight than we should be carrying for our body frame, for our age, whatever. And so, yeah, these are good principles, whether you've had weight loss surgery or not. This is really how we should be thinking about food and eating.
You're right, because Dr.Toni, 252,000 weight loss surgeries are performed per year.
Oh, wow. 252,000 weight loss surgeries are performed per year.
On average. In the United States. So yes, our relationship with food is absolutely toxic. And we have to apply these things, like you said, whether we decide to have weight loss surgery or not. Just having a relationship with food where you respect it and it respects you, being able to manage how you control that relationship is so important, because it's there. We don't have to take it.
Wow. Wow, wow, wow. And these are some of the things that you talk about in your support group.
Yes. Yes. There's one great example that I love where, when you clean out your refrigerator and you got all kinds of stuff in it.
Yeah.
And then sometimes it's just stuff that's not good anymore and whatever. Right. You don't stand there and eat it.
No. Right.
We should always stop to throw things in the trash instead of making our bodies a trash can.
Now, you know what, Beverly, you talking my language. You're talking my language. This is how I deal with when it comes, some people say, well, don't throw that away. Why not? If I'm done with it, I would rather throw it in the trash than to put it in my body. And then, you know what I'm saying? And I can't consume it. I can't process it. I can't digest it. So I've always, that's kind of the way I think when it comes to eating.
Yeah.
And when I'm done, I'm done. And I would rather not put that in my body.
That's right.
Than to, you know what I'm saying? Then some people say, well, don't throw it away. Well, I'm sorry. I'm not going to use. Wow. That's good. That's good. So that's some good stuff right there. Listen, I want you all to follow Beverly. I'm putting her website up here again, BeverlyBGibson.com. You can go to her website and follow her.
Is it my connection or yours?
Surgery, Beverly. I think you need to be doing this kind of talking to anybody that want to talk about a love affair with food.
Yes, exactly. And I do a lot. I just need
you need to broaden your audience some, because I don't know. I mean, because this is something that you can help us with, whether we've had weight loss surgery or not. We need this kind of teaching. We need this kind of example. We need this kind of revolutionizing and changing our habits. There are certain success habits that come along with being healthy, spirit, soul, and body. What are some of the success habits that you've learned? I know you said that there was a course that you went through. What were some of the success habits you learned in that course?
I've already talked about some of the things, like making sure that we are prioritizing ourselves and not taking in more than we can consume, and just realigning it. Another great success habit is that once you have the weight loss surgery, it's very important to be aware of the red zone. You know, like in football, when they're in the red zone, something is getting ready to happen traumatic, whether they're going to score or they're going to lose the game. And so we have to be aware of our red zones. And that's one of my success habits. When I get on the scale and I see that I'm headed in my red zone where I don't want to lose more, I don't want to gain more than a certain amount of weight, I immediately begin to implement the things that I need to do, whether that's cutting back, adding more exercise, drinking more water, or whatever the things that I need to do in order to do it, because I'm aware that I have a red zone in this weight loss success.
Okay. All right. You're one of her success tools, and that's helping me. I got on the scale the other day, and I was like, I'm not liking what I'm seeing here, and I feel like I'm going in another direction. And one of the reasons I'm going in the opposite direction is because my medication has changed. Mm-hmm. My medication dosage has changed, and it's slow. Because of my thyroid being overactive, the medication dose I'm on now makes my thyroid a little underactive, and so because of that, I've had to step up. I've stepped up my exercise game in terms of walking, but I also now got to step up my eating. I mean, my water game. I got to step up my. I'm really now looking at making sure I cut my eating off at a certain time. I used to cut it off. I was very good about cutting out my eating at 7:00. But when we got in this pandemic, I found that I was eating later. I found that, at 7:30 or 8:00, I was eating. And even with doing, I've been doing like Zoom meetings in the evenings. And so I'm finding that when I get off of the Zoom calls, if they start at 7, because we're in this pandemic, I find that when I get off of the Zoom calls, it may be the Zoom call might have, I might be on Zoom at 6:30 or 7, right through my dinner hour, right? And so what I'm learning to do is eat my dinner. If I know I got a Zoom meeting, eat a little earlier, eat my meal a little earlier. And if I'm hungry afterwards, instead of going and eating a meal, I'll just have some apple and peanut butter, or, a cup of tea and some water or something like that. So that way I'm not eating the wrong thing after 7:00 p.m. And so you got to find what your red zone is. Thank you for bringing that up, that red zone piece. Beverly is a part of the Harmonize Your Life Self-Care Network. And I want you to know that you can join the Harmonize Your Life Self-Care Network at drtonialvarado.com. And these are some of the women who are part of the network. Beverly is one of those. She's a coach. And we're connected in so many ways. We're connected in our local church. We're connected through My Sister's Keeper Foundation. She's one of the coaches at MSK Foundation, one of our lead coaches at MSK Foundation. And then she's also a member of the Harmonize Your Life Self-Care Network. And so you can join that network, and you'll be connected to women like Beverly. You can get the link to Tea Time. Beverly, tell them we have some really good sessions at Tea Time.
Let me tell y'all something. Tea Time has changed the meaning of Me Too. Hashtag Me Too, because you should be saying, Me Too, I want to be a part of Tea Time. I want to be. Tea Time is amazing, and we had an awesome one this morning. So,
oh my God.
Join the movement of Harmonize Your Life Self-Care Network.
I'm telling you.
It's on the move. We are going places. And so I'm just so blessed to be a part of Harmonizing Your Life and connected with Dr. Toni, and just being empowered as I empower.
Wow. That's what we're doing, right? Mm-hmm. We're being empowered as we empower. I said to someone this morning after we got done with Tea Time today, I just was like, it was amazing. And I said, I had to sit and just process for a while, because it really showed me some things some work I need to go back and do. we think that, and I was telling someone else this week, Beverly, that, I've been on this journey 20 years, this self-care journey, and I'm still on the journey. You don't arrive.
Yes.
And there are different points in the journey that you got to go back and redo some stuff. You got to change some things. You got to remind yourself of some things. You got to change habits altogether, or you got to add some stuff, take away some stuff like we talked about this morning. And I'm being transformed as I facilitate these transformational podcast conversations. As I'm learning. I position myself, even though I'm the host of the podcast, I position myself as a student, because the people that we bring onto this podcast are professional in their fields. I'm not a professional therapist. I'm not a professional weight loss surgeon. I'm not one who's gone through weight loss surgery. I'm not a medical doctor or endocrinologist or, I'm not those things, but I feel like God has called me to connect those disciplines to the work that I do in ministry, in theology, in Bible. And I got some other little things that I'm working on that's going to help me with some of the other stuff that I do with self-care. But thank you for coming on today. Thank you for being a part of our conversation and sharing your journey with our podcast audience. I want you to subscribe to my YouTube channel because you can get the podcast. You can listen to the podcast on Apple. You can find us on Apple. You can find us on Google, Spotify. You can listen or you can watch the podcast on my YouTube channel at Dr.Toni G. Alvarado. You can go to my website and follow us and connect. But Beverly, before we go, I want to put up your website because I want them to find you. I want them to be able to connect with you. And before we hang up, before we're done with our conversation, I want to know if you have any last word of encouragement to someone who is considering weight loss surgery, or someone who has had weight loss surgery, somebody who may have had it and not feeling as successful as you have been.
That's so important. I remember I had a coworker, and she was considering weight loss surgery. This was before I even thought I needed it. And so she was considering it. And as we would talk every day over lunch or whatever, I would just listen to her heart. And she wanted to do it, and she had decided that she would go and seek out a support group to find out more information, but she was afraid. And I said to her, I'll go with you. And so after work that day, we went to the meeting, and I sat beside her. I held her hand, and I walked her through that journey. At that time, I had not decided. I probably needed it and just didn't think I did, but I had not decided to have it. But it was so important for me to be her sister in that place.
You were a sister's keeper all the way back then.
Exactly. And so later, we were still working together when I decided to have mine. And guess what? She was able to reciprocate that favor. And the reason that I bring that up is that I know that there are a lot of different reasons that people hesitate to even consider having weight loss surgery. But what I would say is that it's okay to not be okay, but it's not okay to not be okay and not ask for help. Grab a sister, a friend, a spouse by the hand, and ask them to hold your hand through the journey. And you can absolutely make it, because the risk these days is 0.1% of the people who may or may not be successful in it from a perspective of life or death. But listen, you can do it. But I want you to be clear of one thing, and that is your why. You cannot do it for anybody else but yourself.
Wow. Beverly, before you go, I'm going to put your picture back up one more time for anybody who just logged in and didn't see it. I want y'all to see where Beverly was and where she is right now.
And what I was and what I am right now is absolutely the same person, but I was caught in a prison that I knew that I had to set myself free from.
Wow. 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 Look at that. You were caught in a prison that you knew you had to set yourself free from. Thank you, Beverly. Thank
You're
you
welcome.
so much for sharing your journey with us. Thank you for being a sister's keeper.
You're
You were,
welcome. Thank
you were
you.
a sister's keeper all the way back then. Even before you had the surgery, you went with
Yeah,
somebody else when they
absolutely.
had the surgery, and then they were able to turn around and be that support for you. That's what
Absolutely.
it means to be a part of a support system. That's what
Yes,
that's why you need to join the Harmonize Your Life Self-Care
absolutely.
Network, because that's what we're here doing. We're just helping each other out. We're just
Yeah.
we're just one beggar trying to tell another beggar the bread.
Exactly.
And good bread, and not after 7 o'clock at night.
Exactly. But it's a joy. So
Thank you,
thank you.
thank
I
you,
appreciate you having me. God
thank
bless
you,
you, Dr.
thank
Toni. You're
you. God
always
bless
good.
you. God bless you. All right, y'all. That's a wrap. This is the episode with Beverly B. Gibson, my weight loss surgery journey. And she shared that so wonderfully with us. Go find her at beverlybgibson.com and just look her up, join one of her support groups, be a part of, let somebody walk with you in this season. If that's you and you heard this podcast and you're saying, Dr. Toni, that's me. This spoke right to where I am. And even if you're not considering weight loss surgery, if you're not one that need weight loss surgery, but you're having issues with losing weight or just issues with changing and having getting good habits, having
Yes,
healthy habits in your life, reach out to Beverly, reach out to me, and we can, if we can help you, we can connect you to somebody that can. Right
absolutely. Yeah, that's exactly right.
there, reach out to Coach Beverly and help you. All right, we'll see you next week on the Harmonize Your Life
Take care.
Conversation on Self-Care for Women of Color podcast. Take care.
Take care.
Hi, this is Dr. Toni Alvarado. I am so delighted about bringing the Harmonize Your Life podcast to you. Would you do me a favor? If you are enjoying this podcast, would you email me at hello@drtonyalvarado.com? I want to hear from you. I want your feedback. I want to know if there are any other topics that you are interested in as it relates to wellness, self-care, nutrition, or just overall bringing harmony into your life. Email me, contact me at hello@drtonyalvarado.com.